There's this really persistent beginner myth in management. It's this idea that if you want someone to work harder, you just throw more money at them. It's kind of like paying a cover charge at a club, right? You hand over the cash, and you somehow expect everyone to instantly hit the dance floor.
Yeah, right. But that cover charge, it really only gets people through the front door. I mean, it basically just keeps them from turning around and walking right back out. It's actually the music, the atmosphere inside the club that gets people moving.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're unpacking today. Welcome to our deep dive into an NJN Academy training module on leading and motivating people. We're going to figure out how you can actually be that DJ. We really want to distill all this management psychology into a practical toolkit for you, so you can win voluntary cooperation and boost your team's morale without, spending a single dime.
Right, because if pay is just the cover charge, then the music has to be, well, it has to be more than just Pizza Fridays. The source material actually highlights 5 basic human satisfactions. They are belonging, achievement, recognition, fairness, and growth.
Okay, but how do we actually bake those into like a random Tuesday morning spreadsheet task? Because we aren't just walking around handing out gold stars all day.
Well, you build it right into the mechanics of the work itself. So take delegation, for example. When you hand off a genuinely challenging project, you aren't just offloading your own work.
You're giving them a chance to stretch their skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mechanistically, you are feeding their psychological need for growth and achievement. Or, say you offer some highly specific public feedback on a job well done. You instantly satisfy that need for recognition because it validates their effort right in front of the tribe.
But wait, what happens when you're playing all the right music? You're giving that feedback, but someone is still just sitting in the corner. Like they're refusing to get on the dance floor. I mean, we've all seen a team member whose performance inexplicably tanks.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And if they're sitting in the corner, it usually means a foundational need just isn't being met. That's what's keeping them from feeling secure enough to dance. You have to think of human needs like a ladder.
Right. So if basic security or safety isn't stable, higher level needs like growth won't even register?
Precisely. Like the welder case study from our analysis. This guy gets a pay rise, but his motivation completely flatlines right after.
Which is crazy because the supervisor probably assumes the guy just, wants even more money. But actually, it was because a new factory system had taken away the welder's hardest jobs, right?
Yeah, exactly. He used to be the go-to guy for all the tough stuff. By taking away that friction, the company accidentally completely starved his need to feel important.
Wow. So that sudden drop in performance wasn't some personality flaw. It was literally a direct symptom of an unmet psychological need.
Right, exactly.
But I have to push back there just a little bit. Because sometimes people just have genuinely bad attitudes, don't they? I mean, they can't always be some deep unfulfilled need.
Well, you'd think it's a fixed personality trait, but there's this brilliant sports analogy in the source to explain what an attitude actually is. Think of a batsman in cricket. His feet are set, his knees are bent, his eyes are locked on the bowler.
So he's anticipating what's coming.
Right. It's a learned readiness to react, built entirely from past experiences. An attitude at work is exactly the same thing. It's an emotional habit. A readiness to react to the environment.
Okay, so if attitudes are just learned reactions, then the leader's own behavior is the trigger. Which actually brings us to theory X and theory Y. Your underlying assumptions as a manager dictate their reactions.
Absolutely. Because theory X assumes people are just inherently lazy and have to be tightly controlled, while theory Y assumes people actually want to work and they'll accept responsibility if the conditions are right.
The irony of theory X, though, is that it basically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you treat people like untrustworthy slackers and constantly micromanage them, you practically train them to stop using their own judgment.
Yeah, they just end up doing exactly what they're explicitly told and nothing more, which, of course, just confirms your initial suspicion. So to break that cycle and actually win voluntary cooperation, you can't just demand that they care. You have to involve them.
Because the moment someone actually contributes to a plan, their brain shifts from just complying with your rules to actually protecting their own idea.
Right. That shift is totally crucial, and the module outlines a step-by-step guide to winning that cooperation. First, you show them the purpose of the work, then connect it to their individual drivers, involve them in the planning, ensure the process is visibly fair, and finally, recognize their effort.
But inevitably, there's going to be friction. People are going to clash. And managers usually fail there because they attack the personality rather than looking for the root cause. They try to play referee with the emotions.
Exactly. And you really have to step in as a referee of the facts, not the emotion. You stay neutral and look for the starved need. When two team members are feuding, it's rarely ever about the spreadsheet itself.
It's usually about a lack of recognition or some perceived unfairness.
Yeah. And once you address that underlying need, the so-called personality conflict often just vanishes.
So what this really means for you, the listener, is that intentionally providing these daily satisfactions, giving someone a voice, making things fair, recognizing effort, it directly transforms your team's daily work
It
experience.
really does. It's all about playing the right music to get them to want to dance. You don't have to
Yeah.
force cooperation when you curate the environment for it to happen naturally.
I love that. And we're going to leave you with this one thought. If a team is ultimately a mirror of its leadership, what does your team's behavior today say about the hidden assumptions you brought to work this morning?